Frontline with Kortney Kenny, and I'm Tom Parisi, and today we got a great set of guests. It's another episode of your favorite podcast. It's the Frontline. I'm Tom Parisi with one of my favorite people in the world, Kortney Kenny, and today we are joined by a newer member of the battalion. It's kind of the theme we got going on. He used to be a Sarnia Sting. Now he's a part of the good side. Nikita Tarasevich. Nikita, we are so happy to have you on your first tour of duty on the Frontline podcast. And I got to ask you, what made you want to come over to the OHL from the USHL? What happened there?
It was probably a decision with me and my family and my agent mostly. You know, I just know OHL is a great league with a lot of exposure to the NHL. You know, we have really good players here with a lot of talent. So we decided to change something about my life. So it was a great change of scenery. Let's just say that.
I gotta ask, the Belarus, it says you're born in Belarus and whatnot, but you've been spending a lot of time in North America lately, according to your, elite prospects, hockey DB, all that stuff. How much time do you actually spend in Belarus? Or are you mostly a North American guy now?
Well, right now I usually try to come once a year home, for 2 months or so, just see my family, do some training, stuff like that. But yeah, I moved to United States when I was 13 years old. To play for Little Caesars. Lived in Belarus until I was 9, and then moved to Russia to play in Russia for a little bit, and then moved to U.S. and now I'm here in Canada. So total of 4 countries. Let's just say that.
Not even that old. How hard was it to uproot yourself from one end of the world to come play hockey in the U.S.? Talk about that process.
Obviously it's a little bit different. It's tough when you're a 13-year-old kid to come to a new country. Completely different mindset and, completely different game of hockey. Obviously, you got to learn English, go to school and stuff like that. So it took a little bit of time, but I had great people around me that helped me along the way to become a man that I am today. So I'm really grateful to them for that.
As somebody who had the fortune of just being born, not knowing, but learning English, from birth because of where I'm born, how difficult of a language is English to learn?
For some guys, it's tougher than others, it took me a couple months, maybe 4 months to really get down to it. A lot of reading books, watching movies, and it really comes down to a routine. Every day you wake up, you're around an American family, you go to school, you're around American kids, you go to practices, your teammates are American, everybody's speaking English. So you kind of pick it up. But
how are your parents with all that? Like, they must have been worried about you crazy in a different country, unless they came with you. But even then, that's all new to them too.
Obviously they didn't want to let me go. It was tough. It was tough saying goodbye. A lot of cries, but a lot of decisions were made. But we thought it was better for me for the future. Obviously now that I'm older and I know the language and I can use it anywhere in the world. So, and, I have connections and friends and, basically family here. So, and I'm fortunate where I am right now. So I'm grateful to my family for that decision that they made.
Now, I had heard through the grapevine that you were pals with Matvei Petrov before all this. Did that come from living when you lived in Russia?
Yeah, me and Matvei played 1 year together, actually, and we were on one of the best teams in Russia at that time. So, became friends pretty quickly when you're winning a lot. So it was pretty fun. He's a great bud of mine. I've been one of my friends for about 6 or 7 years. So yeah.
How's their English doing, Alex and Matvei? How would you compare it?
The work in progress. I mean, I know they're working. They have tutors, and they're diligently working. So I'm really proud of those guys. I've been with them this summer, and I seen where they were and when they're at now. Really proud of them. A lot of progress.
When you can speak the language and all that, do you speak English to them mostly to try and keep that going, or do you speak Russian with them?
Well, actually, we speak a lot of Russian in the room. We have a room in the locker room, the Russian. So we try to follow as much as we can. Older guys sometimes come up to us, hey, you got to cut it down. But yeah, I usually make them order or make them talk to other people in English. I'm not really if I really need to help them, I will translate. But I always try to throw them under the bus, so they kind of surprised and they can figure it out. But yeah, a lot of Russian going on between 3 of us. But yeah.
Yeah, when when there was no fans in attendance back in January, I got, and Matt Bay was out with an injury. I got stuck in the not stuck in the elevator, but I was in the elevator with him and Rodion Tatarenko, and they were both just speaking Russian, and I'm like immediately like, they're talking about me, they're making fun of me or something. But
thanks. I mean, trust me, it's not like that. You just have things to talk about. It's not really about who's around us or anything. So
yeah, fair enough. No, that's awesome. But I gotta ask, we touched on you moving around and all this stuff, but as a kid and making that decision and all that stuff, what really, I know you mentioned, there's great opportunity over here hockey wise and stuff, but what really goes into that decision? Because I mean, not many 13-year-old kids would make a decision to A, move away from home, but B, move across an ocean.
Well, obviously we just narrowed it down to everything. And hockey wise, and school wise, and just the living wise, and everything was better in every single way. Hockey, obviously, hockey here is incredible. You learned, and obviously in NHL is here, so you got to learn how to play North American hockey, because Russian hockey is a little bit different. So obviously the schools, great education, one of the best educations in the world. So for me to even have that chance to get that was incredible. And getting down, learn how to live in the United States. Hopefully my career will continue in US or Canada. So some people have to adjust to that, and now I don't. So I can just get in my routine and start playing. That's why we made that decision.
So let's talk about the trade from the Sarnia Sting to the North Bay Battalion. How did you find out, and how happy were you?
I actually got a call from GM. I didn't really know if we're going to make any moves, because it was pretty quiet, and the goal was to make the playoffs and hopefully have a run. But I got a call from GM, and he told me about how there's an opportunity for me to go to North Bay, and he left it up to me. And I talked to Matt Bay a little bit about it. I talked to my agent, and they said you should really go. It's a great spot, great opportunity, great fans. We're making a run for the cup, and so I think you should go. So it was a no-brainer for me, and I decided to go.
You made the decision to come to the OHL, and in your first year you get in half a year with Sarnia, and then all of a sudden you're on the move. What's that kind of like? It must be a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's hockey. You never know where you're going to get traded, where you're going to be next day. So it was nice, in Sarnia, having a lot of great guys in the team, settling down a little bit. But now here, you have great friends here. I have one of the buddies on the team. So, and we have an incredible hockey team. So I don't really think I regret it.
Coming over from Sarnia and stuff, like when we had Kyle Mcdonald and Grayson Ladd on the podcast last week, we asked them, what are some of the headaches that go into making a move like that for a player that we wouldn't see, like kind of behind the scenes? What kind of headaches did you have to face just making the move north?
Probably, packing and being here cold. It's a little bit different than, I've lived in Michigan for the past 6 years, so it's a little bit warmer. Let's just say that. But about it, I mean, I love it here, just the weather, but I like the cold. In Russia, it's a little bit cold too, so kind of brings me back home. So,
how fast did you have to get everything together to get up to North Bay?
Under 24 hours. I mean, I got a call from GM the night before, and then the next morning I had to start packing and pack my stuff and get going. So,
jeez, no rest for the wicked.
How much?
Yeah, day too. So,
how much stuff do you kind of bring? Like, I mean, I imagine you're not moving your entire life into your billet's house in Sarnia, but like, how much stuff do you have to pack up?
I brought about 3 suitcases maybe, and then some other stuff, but obviously clothes, suits, most importantly, probably your gaming console, a couple of those things. Yeah, but definitely not the whole house.
Are you an Xbox or a PlayStation guy?
PlayStation. I have a PlayStation 5. So,
killing me.
One of the lucky few.
I got it as soon as it came out, so I was pretty fortunate enough to have it.
Nice.
I'm more of an Xbox guy just because of Halo by itself, but My buddy works at Best Buy, and I keep asking him, "Hey, you got any PlayStation 5s?" And he's like, "Nope, I got a bunch of Xboxes though." And I'm like, "That's not helping me."
Oh, they're super hard to come around nowadays. Guys are telling me about it. It's impossible. I was like, "Yeah, got one at home, so no headache for me."
Do you play yourself ever in NHL? Like, do you do that?
No, I don't do that. I think I don't know. I don't want to play for myself,
Or change your stats?
No, haven't done that ever, and never will probably. So,
a man of integrity.
Yeah, let's just say that. Yeah.
What's your go-to game right now?
I play a lot of 2K.
Okay.
Probably top 3 games right now that I play the most is Fortnite. We play a lot with the guys, a bunch of my friends. Call of Duty or 2K. It's probably top 3 games that I use the most when I play.
Are you because of Fortnite, you a big Warzone fan, or are you kind of not a fan of Warzone?
I'm a fan of Warzone. I play a lot of Cold War and stuff like that. But I'm a big fan because a lot of my buddies play too, so it's pretty fun to be around with them and then just play some games. So.
All right. Well, here's a debate that has kind of been sparked among my friends. How do you feel about the new map? I personally don't like it in Warzone. It's garbage. But how do you feel about it?
To be quite honest, I think it's pretty that bad that I haven't played a single game of it. I played it. I haven't played the actual map in a while, so I can't really give you an answer here. But I've played an old one. I like the old one more. Let's just say that.
Yeah. What's so bad about it?
I don't know. It's just it's so weird. I don't know. The jungle and the whole thing. You got to learn a new. I don't know. You kind of get used to it. Something old, and something. So you just like it. I don't know. Like it the way it is.
My thing is, no matter where you are, if you're not in the center of the map, someone has high ground on you. Like it's like a volcano basically. So it just like goes into the ocean. So it's pretty rough.
I haven't played the actual map. Might do it after this interview, but we'll see how I feel about it.
Might be motivated just to do it. He's like, I'm gonna go see how bad it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna go try it. Let's see how it goes.
It's me and my buddies that play, we just basically strictly play Rebirth now. So
yeah, Rebirth is so fun. Oh man, I love it.
Yeah, because it makes me feel great about myself. Because even though I die a lot, at least I don't sit there watching my friends play.
You're always in the game. You're always engaged. So that's the thing. So that's why
Yeah, exactly. So moving things back to the the rink though. So you get told that you're traded to North Bay. What's kind of your first you mentioned you talked to Matt Vane, your agent and stuff, but what's your own first impression of it when you drive up to Memorial Gardens and you're getting ready for a hockey game?
Obviously we have an incredible locker room, so it was pretty nice to come in there. I was actually driving with Adam Dennis to North Bay. He was the one who picked me up, and he told me all the great things about North Bay. So I really had high standards now, and then they executed all of them. It's just great, the fans and the atmosphere on the ice, and the coaching staff, the players, and just the staff of the team is incredible. So
how cool is it to finally go to a situation where the team is winning a bunch?
It's great. I mean, not that we're nine wins in a row. It's pretty awesome. Nobody likes to lose, so it's pretty good. Let's just say that.
I have a question about the 9-game winning streak, but I'll circle back to that because I wanted to say this first. Compared to Grayson Ladd and Kyle McDonald, Adam Dennis might really like you because he made those guys drive up themselves
in a snowstorm.
Yeah, well, they had their own carts, so I didn't, so that's why he kind of had to pick me up and drive me up here. So
okay, that's probably a good enough reason.
Like some just like me. So
but on the 9-game winning streak, a lot of people, when you talk about winning, I know I've talked to head coach Ryan Houlihan about this a lot, and he's even acknowledged it now, but a lot of guys like to avoid the, we're not really paying attention to the wins, and all this stuff. As long as we keep on winning, we're happy, but we're not really paying attention to, how many there have been. 9 wins though. That's remarkable. I mean, guys got to be paying attention to that.
Obviously we have it in the back of our minds, but it's more about, coming down to the rink and you have an opponent in front of you. you don't really think about how many win streaks you have, and you just worry about being that opponent and, you know, doing what the coaches tell you. So I don't really personally think, and you have it in the back of your mind. And it's also really nice go after a win and say, okay, now it's a 10, now it's 11, 12, and so on and so on. So, but you don't really think about it when you go on the ice.
See, I've always wondered if you guys like talk about it before a game, like, hey guys, let's get to 10, or you just go out and play one game at a time.
No. One game at a time. You know, you don't want to be the guy who jinxed it. So everybody's really quiet about it, and you know,
I couldn't imagine what the locker room fine for jinxing it is.
Yes. So and go out there and battle. So
when you go out there and you have some pretty convincing wins along the way, though, it must really help ease you into the culture of the North Bay Battalion. Oh
yeah, obviously, you know, it's all the guys are fun to be around with here, and then, you know, what we do after wins, and for sure, you know, it's you feel so much better about being in this organization when you're winning. You know, obviously coaches are happy, everyone's happy, so it's pretty nice.
You're so now that you've come to Canada and you're playing in Canada compared to playing in Michigan, of course, it's a little weird. It's a weird situation around everywhere right now, especially in Ontario. But how has your experience with Canada and Ontario been on the whole since, you know, you made the move up?
I like it. I like it a lot. You know, it's not really different from the United States, from my opinion. And you really, in the OHL, you really don't do much stuff. You practice and do school, and then, you know, take care of other things. But I enjoy it. I mean, I have family here in Toronto, and when we were playing in Michigan, we would come up a lot of times to play against Ontario teams. So I like it here. So yeah.
I gotta ask about playing for Little Caesars. I know, you know, they're the big name on the jersey, but what's it like playing for a fast food franchise?
You get a lot of questions if you get free pizza. Let's just tell you that.
And do you?
No, we don't. Unfortunately, we don't. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's one of the best organizations in the country. We were given great opportunities. You know, go to top tournaments with top teams. You know, great time. You have NHL coaches training you every day. You have NHL facilities to use and get better. So obviously, it's incredible to be a part of something like
that. Now that you're up here in North Bay, I know you mentioned, you know, being pals with Matt Vey and all that stuff, but you've kind of found yourself all over the lineup. You know, you're kind of like a jack of all trades guy. They use you in almost any situation. But it seems like you've really developed a lot of chemistry on that Romani and especially with Podolou recently, you know, just all that stuff. What's it like playing with all these different guys and trying to get a feel for all of these different guys?
Obviously it's a little bit different every time, but, you know, we have really good players, so you don't really need to get used to anybody. You know, everybody can make a play. Everybody understands each other, and everybody works. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day who you're in the line with. You know, you just go out there and compete and try to be the other team. So
I can't really ask this question of a lot of guys, but I can with you because you got to play in the West this year, whereas we haven't played anybody in the West. So far in your experience with the OHL, where's been your favorite stop and where's been your least favorite stop?
That's a tough question. There's great stops along the way, but I think the top two for me would be Kitchener and London, obviously, because of the atmosphere there. I don't want to pick the worst spot, but
okay, people do all the time.
I think it was really great all around. I don't really think there's a worst spot, really. So I'm not gonna pick one for the worst. For the best, it's probably London and Kitchener, you know, because of the whole atmosphere, you know, the ice, and it's awesome. Big rink, so it's pretty good.
Well, to give you an insight into some of your teammates, they don't like Peterborough and they don't like Sudbury. So
I've heard about it, but I haven't played there yet personally. I will on this Sunday, so we'll see. Maybe I'll change my answer.
We'll have you back then.
Yeah, it'll have to be an update.
Sure.
Well, anyways, Nikita, we really appreciate your time for joining us here. We're, you know, especially during this time of, you know, a 9-game winning streak, it's really impressive. So we appreciate you coming on and answering some questions with us on the Frontline podcast today.
I mean, guys.
It's his first tour of duty here on the Frontline podcast, Nikita Tarasevich, who did fantastic, by the way. I thought so anyway. And we're happy to have him back, much like we have for any other players. Anyhow, it's the Frontline Podcast. I'm Tom Parisi. He's Kortney Kenny. And Kortney, there's a big elephant in the room. I don't know if you noticed. But a 9-game winning streak. That's almost as many digits as I have on my hand, or at least the record number I've made it to when I count them on my hands. So
at least
9 games.
You haven't reached that record yet, right? You're not missing.
Well, one of these days I'll get past 8, but we'll see.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Yeah, nine wins in a row is a record, because 6 was the previous with the North Bay Battalion. They had also, I just have to shout out, I don't usually do this. My headline on Bay today was 8 was great, but 9 is divine. This
shameless plug is brought to you in part by Kortney Kenny.
Are
you tired of not hearing about his accomplishments? He's not. More Kortney Kenny.
I will never be tired of that. No, I'm just kidding. I think the record for the entire franchise is 16, though. I think I saw that somewhere. It's 16 wins, and I was just looking that up real quickly because I was like, oh my god, I should have brought that up before we hit record, but I didn't. And then I was remembering my headline, because when you type in North Bay Battalion win streak on Google, it comes up with my Bay Today article. So, which is 8 was great, but 9 is divine. I was not this good at writing headlines when I worked at the Moose, which I'm okay with because they didn't deserve my best. So, anyways, a little bit of shade there, but anyways.
Oh, yes, it's a 9-game winning streak. It's been impressive to say the least. They've done it in all kinds of ways. Comebacks, stormbacks, especially against that Sudbury game where they won 4-3, the one you called and I got to listen to, which was a lot of fun. When you calling your next game?
We're not sure, because it really comes down to if Matt's available or not, and sometimes we don't know right away.
That's fair.
I mean, guy's busy. He's got two young guys at home.
Oh my goodness, that guy's a machine.
Yeah. So, and then it comes down to Derek Lindemann and I are kind of splitting the duties whenever we get the chance. So he did the game against Peterborough. So whatever game next that Matt misses, you'll hear me on the call. You would have heard me in our highlight package too that we're now doing for the broadcast. You would have heard it in the podcast last week. You would have heard at this point in the episode Derek from the last game against the Petes, which was of course a great one. At home, we didn't go on the road to Ottawa. We won't be on the road this week either, because Niagara on a Thursday, kind of a little bit tough for me to get back to work on Friday,
and then Hamilton.
Yeah, and then Hamilton. So if somebody wanted to sponsor me and something like that, maybe I'd go, but nudge nudge, wink wink. And then I will be in Sudbury, though. I do plan on going to Sudbury to watch the game. I don't plan on broadcasting, but I do plan on watching the game in Sudbury, because
you know what? I want to touch on that in a second. Let's talk about this 9-gamer, but yes. I really want to touch on what it's like to do broadcasting and watching a game, being a fan.
It's so
totally different.
Absolutely different.
But the 9-game streak has been more than impressive. I don't want to jinx it anymore because my God, we are in deep. If they find out about this, we're screwed.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Real quick. I just found it here. It said the battalion have won 7 straight games from December 13th, 2018 to January 9th, 2019, for the longest such run since relocation in 2013. The franchise record is 16 consecutive wins from October 13th through November 23rd, 2008, when the team was based in Brampton. So that is the actual 16 is really impressive, but 9 right now is, we're seeing something we've never seen in North Bay. So sorry.
No, it's incredible. And the cool part about it is cool and not cool. First off, some guys dealing with injuries. Some key guys have dealt with injuries throughout this event. Some guys are still dealing with it. But the amount of guys coming up and stepping up, Nick Sema, Van Steensel at a 4-point night the other day.
Yep.
He's been lighting it up. Potaluch has been crazy good too. Tarasevich is on the scoreboard. He's almost played in as many games as he did with Sarnia, and he's got a goal and 4 assists. Everybody's just picking it up. It's fantastic. That's what you want.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. We talked about Ryan as to, comparing the first year team to this year's team. And he talked about the depth scoring and the clutch and everything. the depth scoring over the past month has been there in abundance for the North Bay Battalion. I mean, and that's something that you and I and a lot of people around this team were crying for in December and January when, you know, the water.
When I was working with them.
Yeah, even back then, yeah. Because it would have been it would have been Brazo and no one else, basically.
Yeah, that 1 year anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Struthers and Burkhardt really picked it up too, but after that, it was getting kind of sparse. But yeah,
well, that's still a one-line team though when you look at Struthers and Burkhardt with Braz, right? So,
yep.
You know, it wasn't really there through the bottom part of the lineup. I mean, a guy like Luke Moncada who hit 30 some goals in his last year in the league was getting like 2 or 3, you know, those first couple of years, and that's part of the development, you know, swing of the OHL.
And ice time.
In ice time, yes, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, not that I want to point fingers or anything, but I'm probably going to say something that's going to get me in trouble. We wouldn't see these rookies or young guys up in the top 6 previously.
No, we probably wouldn't. It's just the way things go right now, and out of necessity too. Like we've had a lot of the top 6 guys. Petrov was out. Jackson was out a long time. Arnsby out.
Co-miss Sunday in Ottawa.
Exactly. And they still persevered. So it's good when these guys get those minutes. It's good that they know what's expected of them now. Like, no matter where you are in the lineup, you know, this is kind of your benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
And you should strive to hit that no matter how many minutes you're getting or what your role is. You know, execute to your best potential and your best abilities. And hey, you're going to get rewarded. And that's what's happening.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. And a lot of these guys are, you know, now that it's going to be limited opportunities once the lineup gets more and more healthy, they're going to go down to those 3rd and 4th line and remember, you know, what it would, you know, remember that feeling. Remember, you know, they're not just going to forget those experiences of playing in the top 6. They're going to go down there and they're going to be like, this is what I need to do to elevate my game and keep things going. Now it's just going to be in shorter spurts.
Yeah.
And you've seen it across the lineup too, with like Wakely, you know, as you mentioned, Sema, Romani's really come on. Tarasevich has looked good. You know, all these guys, you know, Outwater's come on recently as well. So it's just been remarkable to watch. Kyle Mcdonald, who started slowly coming over from Windsor, and that's to be expected.
Been a beast.
Dude's scary out there. I wouldn't.
Him and Van Steensel are friggin' awesome together.
Oh, I know. And not to be outdone, but Russell's up there with them still scoring as well on that second line. And it says something about how well that line's clicking, that without in the lineup, instead of moving Mcdonald up, he moved Wakely up to that right wing spot where would be, you know, Ryan did when they showed the lineup before the game. He left that line of Van Steensel, Russell, and Mcdonald intact. And
why touch it?
Why? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been working wonders for the team over, you know, the Wild. As of right now, the last game they lost was in January, so it feels like a long time ago now.
Well, it is, and you know what? I think that's good for the streak. I do want to touch on what's coming up this weekend. So we did mention tomorrow in Niagara. Again, none of these are just like winnable games either. Niagara's going to put up a hell of a fight. They always do.
Especially after getting dummied by the Battalion last time they played.
And Hamilton's coming up, and Hamilton's a monster.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would assume McTavish is back now.
I think so. No guarantees he'll be in the lineup, but they're still really good without him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But even if he's there, that's even more. That's taking a scary team and turning them even, like, making them more scary.
Oh, God. It's like they went Super Saiyan. And then Sudbury on the Sunday. So it's 2 back-to-back, and then a Saturday off, and then a Sunday in Sudbury.
Yeah.
Against the Wolves, who are playing the Greyhounds, I believe, right now as we speak. Time of this recording, anyway. And again, nothing winnable. They had to do a magical, miraculous comeback last time. So I'm hoping they want to erase that and kind of come out gunning, especially in their barn. So
yeah,
that's
you don't want to
week...
see. You don't want to see that Wolf making a walkout to center ice.
So that's what the weekend looked like. And we'd be remiss, by the way, if we didn't say Dom DeVincentis has been doing awesome in his starts too. Like, he had a couple of hell-raising saves this past week. So he's doing great. Everybody's doing great.
Well,
we just got to keep up the good work.
Well, Dom's saves against Sudbury, there was like 4 of them that were in the saves of the week.
Hey, those don't happen. They don't come back.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, and those were saves in the moments when they were down 2-0 and 3-0. Like, you let in one more goal. That's probably a backbreaker momentum wise. And I got to say, Joe Verbettick's played excellent too over this last stretch as well. I mean, you kind of expect Joe to, whereas Dom, you're trying to figure what you have in him, and he's been fantastic so far this year. But Joe's played, when they've needed him, he's been fantastic.
Now, very quickly, we touched on it a second ago, but it is different when you broadcast so many games and you finally get to sit and watch one.
Yeah.
It's like, even though you're in a room full of fans, it's quiet.
Yes.
It's just like, this is what hockey sounds like.
Well, what's nice is not wearing a headset where you have the other person plugged in directly to your, not that I don't want to be like, I love listening to you and Bob, or Matt and Bob, or whoever, when I was down between the benches, but and obviously between the benches is, in my opinion, the greatest seats in the rink when there's not photographers in front of you. Looking at you, Tom Martineau, although you're a little short, so I could see over you, which was nice. But yeah, no, it's just nice to sit in the stands, and if you want to have a beer, you can have a beer, or sit there with popcorn, or whatever.
You get to be a fan again.
Yeah, and the reason why you got into this, the reason why you started enjoying hockey, was from those moments of, presumably as a kid going to the rink with your parents and sitting there and watching the game. And it's nice to just turn the brain off and just watch.
100% agree with you. I couldn't have said it better. Turning off the brain, where you don't have to figure out how much time is left. Well, if they scored with 2 minutes to go, is that 18 minutes? Is that 2 minutes? It's just so nice to just take a little break sometimes. It means all the difference. And if you do ever see us at a hockey game, you can come talk to us by all means. But just know, if we're ignoring, we're just having a great day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember that one time that obviously we mentioned it before, where we just decided to drive to Sudbury for the day and go to a Wolves game. They're playing Niagara.
Yep.
Niagara was coming to North Bay the next day, and we, quote unquote, were going on a scouting trip. But by scouting trip, I meant go to HMV when it was still a thing in Sudbury.
We went to Toys R Us and bought a stuffed penguin.
Yes, that is true. I forgot about that. Go to Toys R Us and just kind of cruise around. Well, that was the other thing you mentioned too, is you had been on the road, but you never really, and you've been to all these towns, but you never really experienced these towns.
You gave me a good tour that day too.
Yeah, Sudbury's great. I actually really like Sudbury. I'll be honest. Not a lot of people do, but I lived there for a little bit and I enjoy it.
There you go. A ringing endorsement from Kortney Kenny.
It's one of the only things that you could probably take my word on. The only thing that we didn't do, which we should have done, is gone to Science North, but we just didn't really have time.
I went there a long time ago, but again, a long time ago.
Well, it changes, not the main stuff, but they have traveling exhibits all the time that change almost every couple of months. So
yeah,
it's always a new experience.
My dad retired now. You remember him from an episode or some of the broadcast ages ago. He works at Science Timmins, and he does work with Science North with their exhibit.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Good for him.
He's a retired science nerd. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, exactly. How's his one thing I should have thrown him under the bus for when he was on. How's his guitar playing going? Not
great.
I just remember you're like, oh yeah, he got a guitar for Christmas. He wants to learn the Eagles right off the bat. I'm like, oh, maybe you should start slow.
So what happened was, my dad's never been to a concert. I didn't even know this.
Okay.
And for his 60th birthday, some birthday, I don't remember, we got him tickets to see Don Henley in Toronto.
That'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, him and my mom went, and he had a blast. And he comes back, he's like, I gotta learn guitar now. I was like, okay, you can learn guitar, go nuts. But it's stalled a fair amount. He's busy with work now, I guess, but he should pick it back up. He's not musically inclined in the slightest, so it's a challenge and then some for him.
Yeah.
But he's trying.
Well, I mean, I'll throw my stepdad under the bus. He's not musically inclined, but he used to be able to pick around on a guitar enough that he could make it through a campfire night with about 3 other guitars playing. I don't think he was playing. He just looked like he was, but yeah, pretty much. One other thing while we're off topic real quick before we go to our last subject of the night. I know we talked about this on the podcast a little while ago, so maybe it's not so much off topic, but it's off topic of the Battalion. It's getting close to the release date, and I remember you were kind of lukewarm to it, but the Batman's coming out soon, and there's been more trailers dropped. How are you feeling now, Tom?
I haven't watched those trailers yet. Admittedly, very busy with work in these days, but I'll probably see it just because I'm a Batman nut. So I'll probably somehow see it, even though I don't really want to go to a theater, but I'll find a way to see it. And I mean, even the crappy Batmans, like the Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I still watch it. I'm like, nice. The ice puns are terrible, but I'm okay. I'm okay.
I still I laugh no matter what. More so at how sad it is, but I always love when he's like, you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. That makes every time I see that, I'm like, dude.
Believe it or not, the one movie I have a hell of a time Batman sitting through is the one before it with the Riddler, and
oh yeah,
that one is like, come on. I don't know. It just I actually have to sit and like it's a chore.
I admittedly, I've only ever watched that movie once. I've never actually seen Batman and Robin. I've been told I should at least just watch it just to watch it.
You should.
But I've never actually, I've just seen like people online ripping it a new one.
All the time.
But I've only sat through, and is it Batman Forever? Is the one with the Riddler? Yeah, okay. I've only ever sat through that one once, and I was a kid and we were out at our trailer and it was raining, so I was allowed to go to our little general store and rent a movie, and that's what I picked.
You rebel, you. Well, I'm glad you've dabbled. Now, moving on to the last subject, I'll let you take the lead on this one, Kortney, but it's actually a little bit more serious this time around.
Yeah, so just wanted to make a shout out to I didn't really know him. You've heard Satch has talked about him. We've heard other people along the franchise talk about him. I know Matt Sukram knew him well. Bob Coles knows him well.
I worked with him for my first season.
Yeah, there you go. Tommy Wong knew him well. I didn't really interact with him too much, but we're just really thinking about James Borelli, the former trainer for the North Bay Battalion. He's the Calgary Flames tweeted out today that he is fighting, in case you haven't followed his career, he is now with the Calgary Flames. And they tweeted out today that he is fighting leukemia, which, as anyone knows, leukemia is a very serious form of cancer. And it's basically in the bone marrow, and you need to find a donor in order to kind of get rid of it. It's really complicated stuff. And they're going to be wearing ribbons on their helmet that say J-Bo for the rest of the season. So it's really nice to see the Flames, obviously these guys are part of the team, and it's really good to see them step up, and, just their thoughts are with James during this time. Cause every person, again, I didn't have many interactions with him, but every person that's ever talked about him has held him in such high regard that not everyone can be wrong, right? Like it must be pretty accurate.
Oh, it is. Solid human being all around. I don't think anybody, even my time there, it was only the one season, but nobody could say a bad thing about him. And he was probably the most loved human being in that organization at the time, without question. Like the players would go to him for anything. He just knew what you needed. He was always on top of it. And he was especially I owe him a lot because he would show me where to go in these arenas, which can be a maze sometimes. So, it's a small step, but he helped me a lot too, just to navigate, get around, which isn't easy with all that equipment. But, I'm thankful, even for just little things like that. So we wish him the best. We know he's a fighter. He's a strong SOB. And we know he's going to come out on top. The battle may be a little bit harder, but hey, he's a former battalion, so he knows the deal.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is, we know, the fight's in him for sure, like you mentioned, because he is, playing for the battalion, it instills, or not playing, but being around the battalion, it instills a certain mentality to you. I mean, you heard Ryan Houlihan talk about bleeding green, and if somebody ever did bleed green, it's James Borelli. So, like we said, our thoughts are just with him, and hope that he can put this behind him as quickly as possible and get back to doing what he does best, And that is, of course, the great job he's doing with the Calgary Flames. Because again, at the same time, as I mentioned, you hear a lot of these guys talk great things about him. Obviously, he must be pretty good too if an NHL team is employing him. So, yeah, it just really sad to see that today. But at the same time, the caveat is it can turn around pretty quickly. You get a donor, and just like that, a snap of the fingers, James is hopefully on the mend. So I remember just from personal experience, we had a friend or a family member when I was a kid had leukemia, and thankfully we found a donor, and they were able to put it past them very quickly. But there were some really scary times, especially since it was a child that had it at the time, and it was I wasn't older than this person, but it was scary. I remember just when you don't really know what's going on as a child, but you just pick it up from the adults type of thing. What's serious. So yeah, just our thoughts are with James, and we know he's going to rebound. If anyone's going to rebound, it's going to be him.
And on that note, we're wishing him all the best and then some. But if you're watching this on your TV, you can find the whole clips on YouTube. Also, that's where you can tune into our game broadcasts when we do them. YouTube is the place to go with the whole gang. Follow us on social media to know when we are going to be broadcasting or not. And you can follow Battalion on social media as well if you want to listen to us, and you are doing so on Spotify. You can do it on Google Podcasts and Apple Music as well. And of course, all our producers named Ben. A big thank you to all of them who make us sound fantastic, whether it's Game Day, Ben Long, or Ben Sargent with the podcast. We say thank you each and every time. And on that note, we say thank you to Nikita Tarasevich again for his first tour of duty on the Frontline podcast. He's Kortney Kenny. I'm Tom Parisi. This goes out to James because we know he's going to come through. And this was fun. We're going to do it again sometime.